Many economists are concerned about growing levels of economic concentration, and in particular regarding the market power held by some of the dominant technology firms. It's an open question whether or not that's the product of inadequate antitrust laws, in which case we need to update our antitrust laws for the new circumstances of the 21st century, or whether the problem has been that the laws that we do have been inadequately enforced. The most significant wave of mergers in American history occurred during the presidency of William McKinley, which was 1896 to 1901. These were generally horizontal mergers, meaning that competitors were merging together, forming new enterprises, and some of these new enterprises controlled as much as 70% or more of the capacity in their industry. The McKinley administration was not terribly interested in attempting to use the Sherman Antitrust Act to restrain some of these mergers because it had very strong ties to many of the financiers and industrialists who were organizing those mergers. So it turns out an act of terrorism enables us to learn whether or not more aggressive antitrust enforcement efforts would have made a difference during McKinley's presidency. So in September of 1901, McKinley was assassinated by an anarchist and was succeeded as president by Theodore Roosevelt. Roosevelt was well known to be a progressive reformer and was much more interested than McKinley in attempting to use the law to restrain anti-competitive activity. At the same time, there was relatively little consensus or support in Congress for a new antitrust law. So the change from McKinley to Roosevelt represented a change in the anticipated aggressiveness with which the law would be enforced, rather than a change in the law itself. The reaction to the assassination was quite dramatic. So the stock market fell by 6% on the day that McKinley was shot, and this is more than 3 times the size of the response of the stock market to other presidential assassinations and assassination attempts. Early in his first term, Roosevelt carefully selected antitrust cases to pursue and then used the precedents established in those cases in his second term to go after some of the largest trusts in the economy. Those trusts then became significantly less profitable during the later years of his presidency. The stock market's response anticipated very aggressive antitrust enforcement, and Roosevelt's actions during his presidency largely validated those expectations. He was much more aggressive in attempting to enforce antitrust laws. The lessons of the transition from McKinley to Roosevelt are that antitrust enforcement, or more aggressive and more creative antitrust enforcement, can have very significant effects.